Hi, loves. I hope that you guys are having such a good day, whether you guys are listening to this as soon as it's been released or you're catching it on not a Monday when it was probably put out and released. I hope that you're just having a really great day. I hope that the sun is shining and, even if the sun isn't shining literally in your life today and you were brought to this episode and this is the one thing that you need. I just hope that this is the one thing that you needed to hear. I hope that this was divinely put in your place because you needed to hear something that was in this episode. So I'm really excited. It was a really incredible conversation and I can't wait for you to meet Lauren. Lauren Megan is actually my second client that I ever had and ever worked with in my business. And it has been such an incredible opportunity to not only work with her. Our relationship was so incredible and so beautiful and so expansive. And I adore this girl to the moon and back, and I will rally behind her and cheer her on for life. But seeing how she's evolved as a leader, as a mother, as a coach has been just mind-blowing. It has been such an incredible experience to see the growth and the shifts that she's had and to see who she's become since we first started working together. So there was a ping in my gut one day that said, you guys, like my listeners, my world, everybody that I know, anybody that comes into contact with this podcast and this episode needs to meet her, chat with her, connect with her, and be in her energy. So that's why I brought her on the podcast. And we had a really great conversation around motherhood and birth and utilizing the moon in your business and intuition and spirituality and all of the things. Like, it was a really candid, open conversation. It was actually kind of like a reunion. We haven't really talked in about a year, especially on a face-to-face conversation, because I record all these in like a video chat and strip the audio and then take that onto the podcast. And it was really like this catch up. So you're really going to be able to feel that and see that and hear that in our conversation. And we really reminisce on a lot of our times together, but there's been so much growth and so many lessons and so many things that she brings to the table that you guys are going to be blown away with. I literally can't wait for you guys to be in her energy and just hear this really honest, open conversation about all of the things, because I think that a lot of moms and entrepreneurs and women in general, whether you're a mom or not, you're just going to relate to the lessons that we have here. We talk about how birth and becoming a mom in this process is so correlated to business and your growth and expansion in business. So regardless of the spectrum and where you're at in regards to that, because this podcast isn't just for moms, but I've definitely found myself connecting with more moms and women that are planning or growing humans and also growing a business, because I want other women to see how possible it all is for them. So kind of always bringing that conversation in so then you guys can get a really candid and open, honest feedback and experience and behind the scenes raw, real knowing of what it's like to do both. So this conversation is so great. I can't wait for you guys to dive in. It's been such a beautiful week being able to record with Lauren and bring her on and highlight her brilliance and just get to chat with her again has been such a beautiful blessing. And I've officially booked the limo for all the women it's going to be up on the sales page soon, or if it comes to fruition before another episode, I'll kind of share a little bit more about it. But I booked a limo already for the retreat. All the details are really starting to plan out. A lot of things are getting completed and checked off the list. And so sales pages will be going up very soon. I've been working on them and really bringing this vision to light for this very first in-person ever wealth retreat experience. It's all about money and receiving, success, pleasure, fun, love, self-worth, all the things. It's going to be transformative, incredible, powerful. Like, the things that I have up my sleeve are the most epic things that I have ever seen. Anybody that hears about this is like, oh my gosh, like, I need to be there, even my closest friends. So I can't wait to first open up to all my private clients, and then I'm going to open up to everybody inside of my free community, the Boss Babe Club. So if you're not already a part of it, make sure that you come inside of there, because you're going to get the first or the second access to joining this retreat. There is only 7 spots, so it's a very limited space. I want it to be a very intimate retreat and start here before it scales and it grows into something so much bigger, and always being able to also have these really intimate retreats because this one-on-one experience and time is so important. And I love being able to truly get to know my clients and the women that I connect and work with. And there's something going to be so special about being able to create this in-person experience and being able to calibrate at such a quicker level because we're spending so much time together in such a short period of time. It's going to be wow. So I can't wait to keep sharing more details and all of the behind the scenes and all the things with you guys. Make sure you do jump into the Boss Babe Club if you're not already inside of there, so you can be in the first to the know. If you're on the email list, then you will also get access to it. I will give you guys third exclusive access if you guys are on my email list. And then I'll be opening up to the public through all my social media. So just make sure you keep your eyes peeled. So many incredible things. I have a brand new program coming out and a brand new, my first ever retreat. Like, what is life, you guys? Like, this is crazy. A couple years ago, 2 years ago, actually, no, I'm going to take you guys back a little bit longer. This was not intended to go here. I'm sorry. I always digress, but this is coming through me for a reason. So when I was first in my network marketing business, there was such a strong desire. When I was building my team, I so strongly wanted to run a retreat. I looked at houses all the time in places. I'd map it out, I'd plan it out, but something like it never aligned. The stars never aligned. It never felt within reach. It always seemed like there was something off. And now here I am, years later, on the brink of hosting my first ever retreat, and it's more beautiful and perfect than I ever could have imagined. And it just reminds me so much on how we're always supported and guided, and we are in the moments we're supposed to be. And if we just lean into that and trust it and not force the things that are bringing resistance, then we're always going to end up where we're supposed to be at the most perfect timing. So I digress, but I knew that had to come through me. There's somebody out here who needed to listen to it. They needed to hear it. So if you needed to hear that, can you just screenshot? Can you screenshot that and take it on Instagram stories so that I know that it reached you? But you guys, I'm gonna let you get into it and really listen to this episode because it's a long one, but it's a beautiful one. So if you need to split it up, that's beautiful. That's great. If you can listen to it in all one sitting, then I'm here for that too. But I really hope you love it. Please, as always, let both Lauren and I know how you're loving this episode. Feel free to tag us on Instagram so that we can share it and highlight you and bring some love and just love on you for being able to be in this container with us and share this message and connect us to other women who need to hear what we have to say. And I can't wait. I can't wait. If you love anything as well, you guys, make sure that you come inside my group, come inside the Boss Babe Club, send me an email, connect with me in any way that you can on social media. If there's anything that you want to hear more of, if there's any guests that you're super jacked up about and jazzed up and love them and love to hear more of them, or if there's anybody that you would love to see me bring on, then I'm so open to serving you guys. This podcast is first and foremost for you. So if there's anybody that you love, anybody that you would love to see on, any topics you want to hear, then I'm so always open to that. I'd love to be able to gear it towards that direction. So anyways, you guys, I'm going to zip my lips and let you guys get into this episode because it's so juicy. I love you guys so much. I hope you have the best week. I'm Autumn Bensett, founder of the Bossy Babe brand, fitness coach, and serial entrepreneur turned intuitive life and business coach. The Wealthy Babe podcast is for the ambitious, courageous, and spiritually charged up woman in network marketing, craving wealth not only in her bank account, but in every aspect of her life. Get plugged in here each week for authentic and unfiltered conversations from myself and industry leaders who are going to support you and give you all the juicy behind the scenes and real talk around business, spirituality, strong points of view, and doing shit differently. This is a safe space to come undone, be heard, and be given permission to rewrite your own damn rules. So here we go.
This thing ever, but it's the best thing ever. Yeah.
It really is. It's one of those things that it's so confusing and so scary at the time. And you don't know how it's all going to work out. And it's so hard in the moments. And it's so weird because it's I also didn't think but because I don't know how did you feel before you had Elliot? Were you I am meant to be a mom?
No. So, okay. So are we on the podcast? Are we doing it? You're so sneaky.
Yeah, I'm like, let's just rock and roll with it. Like,
do it. Okay.
Well, let's just jump in. Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so I was in training to be a flight attendant, and we had a conversation before, and I was like, I think there's a very high chance that I am pregnant too, because you're pregnant as well. Yeah. And I like missed my period, and Justin was like, no, there's no way, you're just stressed out. And I'm like, no, I never miss my period. Like, I am so in sync with the moon. I pride myself on that. And honestly, when we took the pregnancy test in Atlanta and when I flew back home to Denver, I was like depressed for almost 2 months. Like, I literally lived on the couch, and my health and fitness business was literally like in crumbles, and I had 0 clients and no motivation to like go back on that route. And I was like, I have no idea what to do with my life. I'm bringing a child into this world. Our relationship, like, there's so much strain and like stress on our relationship. We like made this decision to move back to Tampa to be close to my family. And so like a lot of things were happening, and I felt like it was all my fault. So there was a lot of guilt and a lot of blame. And yeah, I wasn't really excited to have a baby at first. I wasn't like, oh, I can't wait to be a mom. Like, that was not my reaction at all. And I don't think I got excited until probably like a few months before she came. And even then I was scared shitless.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I always had this fear, like, even after I got through it, and I don't know if you can relate to this, there was like a moment, I finally got through that, like, that hurdle and that panic and that freak out, but then I feel like there's this part in me that couldn't get attached to her because I was scared. I was scared, like, am I going to lose her? Is something going to happen? Like, I was petrified that, like, even till the day I went into the hospital, I'm like, she's not going to come. Like, this is not, like, I'm never going to actually see her. This is not going to be real. And then she came, like, oh, they were, like, handing her out to me. And I straight up said, I was like, I can't. I'm not ready. I'm not ready. Hold on. And then I finally took her, and I was like, holy shit.
No, they have a picture of me. So I did a natural birth, and so like no Pitocin, no epidural, none of that. I wasn't even in a hospital. And I mean, I was in labor for like 30 hours and like so tired because you don't sleep. Like, everyone's like, oh, sleep before the baby comes. Well, like, you have so much energy and like anticipation that a child's going to come out of you. And like, I was trying to do all those things. Like, I literally signed a client the day I went into labor. Like, I was trying to do all these things and like show up in my business. And I just was like hustling almost right before the baby came. And, which is kind of funny because then like you're totally thrown into like some divine feminine energy, like whirlwind. But there's like a picture of me, Autumn, right when I got the baby, and Justin cracks up. Every time I show people this, they crack up because literally my face is in shock, and I'm like, what the fuck just happened? Like, what? And like, oh my, like, you can see the tired and like the sweat, and like I thought I would cry and be so excited, and no, that wasn't the case. Like, I was scared. I was so scared when she came out because I was like, oh my gosh, now I have to take care of this child. And when you breastfeed, you're on demand. So like those first few weeks, no one prepares you for it, because I was like, oh, I'll hop on coaching calls a week later. And I was so mistaken on how much work it takes to, and I nannied. Like, that was the funniest part about it. Like, the universe was like, you're joking. Like, you're joking right now. It's totally different than nannying. You don't get a break. You don't get like to take a shower today. You don't get any of that. And you're going to be super sore and not be able to walk and have to deal with an infant. So yeah, it's crazy. So crazy.
What a whirlwind. Like, can I just for a second, because all these women out here are going to be listening to this and saying, okay, stop for 1 second. You signed a client the day you went into labor.
Yeah.
Like, can we celebrate that for a second? Because it's huge.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty huge. Yeah.
Like, that's not something that normally happens.
No,
No.
no, I literally sent over the contract. So I went into labor at night, like around 8:30, 9 o'clock. I had like early labor pains. And I told Justin, I was like, you should probably go to sleep because we're going to have a baby in like the next 24 hours. Well, 30 hours later, we had a baby. But yeah, I like had to message her and be like, hey, so if I don't respond for a couple of days, it's because I'm in labor. She's like, and like I sent out like a message to all my, like everyone knew I was going to have a baby soon. And I sent a message out to my other clients. So I was just like, I'm in labor, just like in case you need to reach me, like this is what's happening. But yeah, crazy stuff.
It's so crazy. It's something that you cannot, no matter how many people tell you what to expect, it doesn't matter like how many things that you read or you might look up, like who you talk to. Like I went to prep classes. I mean, I almost passed out in them. I'm not even kidding. I had to leave early because I was like, I left that first case. So I don't think I've ever told this story on a podcast, but I went to prep classes and I was so busy like getting the things done before she came. I was like, let's run a mastermind, let's run the program, let's sign the clients. And I was so busy doing that I totally forgot that we should prep for the baby. So we were like you're already into like the birth prep classes. Essentially, like she had to rework all the dates because we were too far gone. Like if we went into a regular class, it would have been past her due date.
Oh yeah.
So she condensed them all, but we started with the one about tearing first. That was the first class I walked into. And then the second one was C-sections, I think. And I kid you not, I sat at this one side of the class and I was so flush and I almost vomited in the class. I was like passing out. I was going black, and Derek was like, are you okay? And I'm trying to get up and I can't get up because I'm going to puke in there. There's a whole class of 50 people watching me, and Sally's this wonderful lady. She's, Autumn, are you okay? No, Sally, no, I'm not. Okay,
no, Sally.
No, you can go. Okay. And the second I got out, I was fine. But I got out of that class and I messaged, or I called my mom and I said, Mom, why do we celebrate me on my birthday? This makes no sense. These days are supposed to be for you. We should be celebrating you. I don't know what is happening. I can't, like, what am I doing? And I just panicked. It was like, I was so scared that day. Like nobody, even the classes, nobody, like, it doesn't matter what you do. You have to walk through it yourself.
Oh yeah.
And then you fully understand it. It doesn't matter how much prep that you really hear beforehand. But I love that you're talking about, and I'd love to actually talk about that a little bit more, about how you navigated running your business when you first came home, because I did the very same thing. I had, I think, 13 clients at the time. And so I started back like 1 week after when I came home, and that was like, she lived on me. Like I was no getting off the couch at all. So I was doing all my sessions with my computer set up with my nursing pillow and on there. And she's just like my head up.
Yeah.
I'm like using my hands. If you guys are listening, I'm using my hands and trying to describe it. I realize it's not going to work for you. But I'm curious, like, how did that work for you when you kind of came home with baby and navigating work?
So it was a little bit of an adjustment. I would say my clients were very, like flexible with me. But I hopped on calls a week after because, so basically Justin and I had a talk like a month before I went into labor, and I had like a breakdown, and I was like, I don't want to have to go work like a normal job. I want to stay home with the baby. Like I always knew that. And he's like, okay, well, you need to make your business real. And I'm like, but I have been making my business real. And he's like, no, you haven't. He's like, you like need to commit to this and you need to do the damn thing. Cause I always had a backup plan. You know, I was either nannying or I was going to be a flight attendant, or like there was always like a plan B. And it's so funny because I teach this to my clients, I teach them to stop looking for the plan B. You either have to be all in or you're all out. Like there's no plan B. You have to commit to what you want. And that's what I did. And that's like when I committed to showing up. So after I had the baby, like I didn't lose that. It's almost as if my drive went tenfold, and I was just like, I'm going to keep showing up and keep doing the damn thing. So I didn't launch any courses. I still haven't launched a course. I've launched a mastermind, but I kind of kept it to one-on-one coaching. But even still, it's so funny because last week I had like a divine intervention. I basically was like, I can't take on any more one-on-one clients. I'm going to launch a mastermind, coach people in that aspect, and like serve people in that aspect. And in April, some exciting things I'll just share it with you. People can get all the details with you. So I'm launching my own podcast, which is something I've been like toying around with for like months, and just like have been like, you're not good enough, you're not ready, all the bullshit excuses that we give ourselves. So launching my own podcast and then launching a course, and really like my goal right now, because I was really like in this hustle mode and like, I need more clients, I need to do all the things. And I was like, you know what I need to do is work less and make more money, and figure out a way to do that and be present with my daughter and not have her on the playmat responding to emails or like doing all the things. So really like this month I committed to that, and I've made more in my business this month than I think I have in 2 years, which is insane. Yeah. And it's because I stopped hustling and I stepped into, and it's funny because I listened to, a training today about like the divine feminine and the divine masculine in a way that I've never heard before. Like I've heard trainings on this, but they really talked about the wounded masculine and the wounded feminine. And I was living in my wounded masculine, thinking of all the things I had to do instead of really honoring like the divine masculine that is me. And that's like honoring the fact that I can create, I can have a to-do list, I can check things off, I can do those things, but then knowing when to put it down and knowing when to step away. And even today I have a girl that's interested in joining my mastermind. She's just like, I just honor the fact that you like aren't on your phone all the time, or like you don't respond to messages right away. And I like took a step back and I was just like, well, I don't need to anymore. Like the client, if you're going to sign with me, if you want to work with me, you're going to wait, And I think as entrepreneurs, we're like, especially network marketers, because I know a lot of your audience is like network marketers, but especially network marketers and being online entrepreneurs, like we think we have to respond instantaneously, and we don't. If people want us, they'll wait. And they see, we're just a reflection of what it is that they want. So yeah, I've kind of taken a step back from the hustle, which I thought I had to do right when she came. And now I'm like in kind of like flow mode, and I love it. Like I love, showing up and doing the thing. And I'm always on my Instagram stories. Like Instagram stories is my jam. I've like honored that. That's where I love showing up. And, I just let things roll and see what happens.
I love that you talked about a lot of this, and what I kind of want to dig into this hustle and all of the things that you just kind of mentioned, because I think what's really important for everybody that's listening to hear is that there is such a difference behind your intention with the work that you're doing. And I've said it before, I don't think that there's necessarily something wrong with hustling. I think that there's something wrong with the energy behind the hustling. I think that there's something wrong behind, and I know that's what you're getting at. There's something wrong with doing it from a space of lack and a space of fear. And if I don't work really hard, and if I don't bend over backwards, if I don't answer these messages and these emails right now, I won't be lucrative. I won't sign the clients. I won't have a successful business, because we're putting time on it, right? We're saying that I have to have this by this date. And by doing that, we're totally throwing ourselves out of alignment. So it's being able to know, like you said, and find out where your threshold is. And I think what you're essentially like the bigger picture of your life and what it is that you want to build. Like I'm in a season 2 right now where I'm not willing to sacrifice Louie and time with her and the life that I want with my family to make more money.
No.
And not to say that the money isn't coming. The money is inevitable. Like it's going to come, but it come in a way that feels really good. And so, you know what I mean? Like it has to come in a way that feels good, and you have to come from a space of power, because if you're it's hard to kind of get into that space. Like it's hard to get into that space initially of, I can trust that if I step back, I'm going to be supported. I trust that if I don't hustle, that if I don't show up from a space of lack and scarcity of how am I going to make the money, how's it going to come in, right? That attached to the how, that we're actually going to get ourselves into alignment. And then you have no idea how, but all of a sudden the client comes in and signs on, and you were not even expecting it, because you're in the energy, you're living out your purpose. I had a client say the same thing to me the other day, like you. And it was actually really beautiful, because I was in a moment of feeling like maybe I should be doing more. Maybe I should be giving in this space. Maybe I should be doing that. And I think that's a constant battle as a woman, as a mother. It's very natural. And that's my biggest work that I'm doing right now is quieting that voice and knowing that I'm enough in all the areas where I am. And I had a client say, Autumn, if you ran your business like this person, I would not be your client. Because they're always on their phone, they're posting in a million places at once, and they know that they don't have a team. Like I have a team helping me. I have a VA, I have a social media manager. So sometimes when you see me posting on social media, it's not always me. She listens to my podcast. She listens to my videos. She does the work, she listens to my voice, and then she takes what I've said and creates it into something. So it is my voice. It's me doing, like, I'm just not the one putting it out there, because I'm prioritizing my family. And so my clients very much know, hey, if you see me in all these places, it's not because I'm actually the one doing it. It's because I've decided to delegate and get things off my plate. And I think that's really important for these women and moms to know that it's okay to do.
Yeah, no, there's so much here, because there's definitely like this need to feel like you have to be enough in all the areas, especially as a mom. Like we have to be enough for our partner. We have to be enough for our baby. We have to be enough for our friends. We have to be enough for our clients, all of it in our business, and I did the same thing. I hired a VA, which was so scary for me. But in January, I was like, I need to like outsource things. Mm-hmm. And now I'm looking like I'm ready to step into like the same space for like social media. Like I'm cool with showing up on Instagram stories, because to me that's really easy and like I love it. But posting sometimes for me, like to sit on my phone and type something out when like I can just like do a voice memo, maybe send it over to someone and have them type it out. Like that would be so much easier to me. Right. Or like have them listen to a video I've already made or a post I've already made. But yeah, there's such this need to feel like we're enough. And what I've noticed is, it's so funny. So I set intentions now with the moon. Like I total moon manifest. I know it's super cool right now, but I swear to you, I've always been crazy about the moon. My first business was called Moonability. So I've always been in tune with the moon. My child was born on a full moon. We conceived her on a full moon. Like, I just love it. But I set my intentions with the new moon. So with the new moon in March, like my whole thing was like work less, earn more money. I set an income goal. Like obviously, yes, that's like always needed to set very firm goals, very firm intentions. But the biggest thing was to surrender. And I remember writing down on a paper and like I doodled and drew and like just kind of like tapped into it. And I wrote surrender. And every time I like get back into that really like scarcity, lack, hustle mode, I just remind myself like the how is not your job. Just show up. Do what you are meant to do, serve in the way that you're supposed to serve, and the people will come. And that's exactly what happens. Every time I stress out and I'm like, oh, is a client going to come? Is someone going to sign up for my mastermind? No one shows up. If I'm like scrolling or looking in my inbox for a message of someone like, hey, I'm interested in your mastermind, no one appears. When I just let it go, I like receive messages like, hey, what's the deal with the mastermind? I would love to hop on a call with you. That's when things flow in, because I'm not focused on it. I set my intentions ready with the universe, and now I'm just waiting for the universe to respond to me. And I think you just did an Instagram stories about this. I feel like.
Did I do this today?
I think so.
I think I was talking about today about how, we don't get, I'm trying to remember what I was talking about. We don't get what we want, right? We get what we need. And so it's important that we have to focus on being the person to handle what's coming our way.
Yeah.
Like, we have to be, it's not so much focusing on the how we're going to get there, because if you look back on how you got any of your clients and how you signed anybody in your mastermind and how you're going to look back and say, I don't fucking know. Yeah. I don't know a single way, because there's all of these things that I've done. There is not one specific way that you have got to where you are right now. It is an accumulation of who you are being, that and who you were when you did the things that you did.
Yeah.
That's what mattered. And when we're having fun and we're enjoying life, then the universe is like, I respond to that, because you go first, I respond. You go first, I respond. We put time on it, we put pressure on it, and it stops becoming fun. And so the universe is responding to that. It's not going to continue to support you in a way that doesn't feel good, because that's not what you want for your life. Like, the universe does not work that way. So
the universe is there to provide us the life that we want. Like, any time that we're not getting the results that we want or the outcome that we want, that's ego. But our higher self in the universe is literally there to provide us with everything that we want in life, whatever that looks like. You know, abundance looks different for everyone. I think a lot of people think like abundance is just money, but abundance is everything. As long as it's a positive frequency and a positive vibration, that's abundance. So whatever that looks like for you, that's what you're going to receive. But if you're living in like an ego state and you're constantly living in fear and lack and scarcity and all these things and self-doubt and limiting beliefs, that's what you're going to bring. You know, that's what you're going to attract more of. And that's what you have to release. And that's the hardest thing for people. You know, it's easy for us to say like, just release it, let it go. But I don't think people understand, like, I did years of inner work to get to the space of actually learning how to surrender. And I just now learned how to surrender. And I owe it all to learning how to surrender in childbirth, because I remember my, I basically reached a point, I was laboring in the water in a pool, and I had back-to-back contractions. So they had to pop my water. My water didn't break by itself, and I basically stalled out at 9 centimeters. So I went and labored in the water, and I was fighting my contractions. Like, I could not breathe into them at all. And my midwife literally looked at me and she's like, you need to surrender and let go and breathe into your contractions, because you are stopping your baby from coming out. She's like, if you want to meet your baby, you need to let go. And it's almost like in that moment, like my contraction stops. Like, I swear I saw God. I saw the divine. Like, I saw it all. It's weird because Justin says he doesn't know who I talk to. Like, I was mumbling to someone, and I laid back in the water and just floated there. But I was talking to someone, and I don't remember, because I don't know if you felt this, but they say you get into labor, la la land, essentially, where you're kind of everything's hazy and you don't I don't know, you're just in the zone. And I leaned back and I talked to the divine. I talked to Elliot. I saw her. I was like, all right, it's time. Let's do this. And then literally they pulled me out of the water and they were like, okay, it's time to push. And I was like, okay. And then 2 hours later she came out after pushing. But it was because I let go. I leaned into my contractions. And every time I get to this point of trying to figure out the how and trying to figure out, how I can do more and all these things, I go back to surrendering. I go back to that moment where I just released it all. And that's how my child came out of me. Even though I was exhausted and tired, after being in labor for over a day, with no intervention, no medical intervention. And, I'm just kind of almost, I remind myself daily, you're a warrior, you literally are a warrior, Yeah.
It was making me all well up when you're talking about it, because I had such a different experience laboring. As much as I knew right before I went into a gynecologist, I knew I wanted to go to a midwife. I wanted to go to a birthing center, and I didn't listen to my gut. I didn't do it. And although everything went perfectly fine and everything was great, and I wouldn't have changed anything, because it was what I needed, and that's just it, right? It's what I needed in that time. I had such a different experience. And so I had like my epidural, and I was in like a totally different land of like, this actually feels really good. And this is actually okay. And I was laughing. I'm like, I had like 10 contractions. Really?
Oh my God.
I was laughing. Like I couldn't feel a thing. And it was like a different kind of epidural. So I could walk around.
Ooh, okay.
It all worked really well, and everything was great. And I had the best team, and it was a beautiful experience because I also labored for 30 hours, but I got to a point where I really did not believe for a second there that I could have pushed through anymore. I was like, I'm not going to get her out in this state. I was blacking out before I got to the hospital the second time. I was blacking out. Everything that I was looking at in the parking lot, like right in front of me was, and you probably felt that, like the pain gets so much that you literally feel like you can't even like kill me before I go through this. Like,
no, I bit
Justin.
Justin said I bit him 3 times, and I had a really bad back labor. And he said it was like a hard bite. Like at one point he had to pull his arm out of my mouth. But I had a really bad back labor. So she almost came out sunny side up. So like your listeners don't know, it's instead of like the head being like down, the head comes up or like the face is up, if that makes sense.
So they twist, like they twist usually when they're coming out. Yeah.
So she like did a dance inside of me basically, and literally Justin said like he could see my back bulging for hours. And so I had like terrible back labor, and we went into the pool thinking like at like 4 p.m. like we thought this baby was coming out, and I was like, oh, this is easy. Like we're about to have a baby. I'm going to push her out. And like it stopped. I could not. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I just had like such a cool download when you were talking about that. And it was like, what a cool analogy between business and what you can handle. We're talking about right now, because the reason why they go 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back is because if this baby, like the second you start contractions and it flew out of you, your body could not handle what was coming your way. Like this is exactly what we're talking about when it comes to business. It's like, imagine this, if you've had a baby, and maybe if you haven't had one, then it's a little bit of a different analogy, but you can imagine, okay?
No, it's totally true. Yeah.
Right? You have to allow yourself to just ride the waves and allow yourself to accept that what you have right now, you have it because that's what you can handle. When I was in my first trimester and I was puking like and so nauseous every day, there's a reason why I did not have 10K, 20K plus months. There's a reason. I could not have handled it in that moment. I might have wanted it. Universe doesn't give a fuck if I want it. It's like, well, you can't handle it. And I want you to be the person that you need to be to handle it when it gets there. So what a beautiful analogy.
We have to learn lessons before you get, and I teach this to my clients because a lot of times, and like I've even gotten to that point where I'm like, well, why am I not like doing, like, why am I not receiving what I want to receive, right? And it's like, you have to learn lessons. And you know, like even looking back, like a year ago is when I found out I was pregnant. Like this month, a year ago is when I found out I was pregnant. And I was like, I'm going to be a flight attendant and run a health and fitness business. And the universe was like, no, you're not, you know, like that's not, but I had to learn a lesson. Like I learned a huge lesson. I learned that, you know, I was not meant to do it. Like all these things came up, a lot of like fears resurfaced, things I thought I worked through, and I didn't have anyone. Like literally I couldn't afford a coach. I couldn't afford like to do much of anything. And I say that so like, I say that with so much resistance almost, because I think like you can always afford it, but I wasn't in the mindset to be like, oh, I can't afford this, you know? It was more like I was in such a deep negative state. I was literally depressed. Like I'm pretty sure I watched Friends like 5 times, and like I didn't get off the couch. Like I was physically sick, I was mentally sick, I was emotionally sick, and I had to learn this lesson so I could step into this space, because now I'm able to coach women and teach them and, you know, remind them that just because you're not manifesting and creating what you want right now doesn't mean that you're not going to. What lesson do you have to learn first, you know?
I just love this so much. I love this so much. And I love seeing your evolution, because I remember these moments, and like you remember my first freak out moments.
Oh yeah.
And then it's like I was going through it because right away you were going to go through it.
Oh yeah.
And in that moment I needed to have went through that. So I had what I needed to say and the space I needed to hold for you in that few moments that I could. And then you went through this journey and this process. And over the past year, like you have evolved a totally different human and woman and level of yourself. And inside of that, you know, while you went through pregnancy, because I know that it wasn't always the easiest pregnancy, and then you went through birth, you met a new level of yourself. And that is the most beautiful lesson that you could have ever given. Like you literally could not have the business right now without Elliot. And I think that's the most beautiful thing when I get frustrated sometimes and be like, I just have these things I need to get back to. I just have this, I have this, I have this. And there's just like, I just feel like I'm falling short. And there's just places that I can't seem to pick up the slack. I have to look at her and I'm like, I wouldn't have this if it weren't for you. So take a deep breath, slow down, and know you're okay here.
Yeah. And this isn't to say like go have a child to find your purpose, but I think everyone finds like their like, and like for us, it was having a baby. Like for us, it was giving birth and having a baby. But for someone else, it could be a totally different experience.
Absolutely.
But kind of like backtracking. So last week I lost my first client. Like I had my first client tell me they no longer wanted to work with me. And it's funny because a year ago, I would have like probably mourned that for about a week and a half. And because of all the work I've done and because of the space that I'm in right now, I literally mourned it for about 45 minutes. I was like, okay, if it's for the highest, greatest good of both of us, then like, you know, we shouldn't be working together. And I honored her. I like, you know, coached her through it to make sure that that was what she wanted. Total like Autumn Benson, by the way. Like I swear I channel you all the time. I'm like, what would Autumn do in this situation? But like I did that. And then it's so funny because like, so that's the step back, right? I lost a client. That was that step back. And then I moved forward because I gained 2 new women into my mastermind. And then I gained even more clarity around my business because I realized that I wasn't really feeling aligned with one-on-one coaching because it was taking a lot of my time. Because, you know, I do the calls and I send the notes and I do all the things. And I'm like, okay, something's got to change here because it's taking a lot of my time. I don't have time to create the podcast I want to create the course I've been like dreaming of for the past like 2 months, you know? So I'm like, you know what? This is exactly what I need right now. And I think that that's so important because a lot of times like we take those, you know, people would see that as failures. I didn't see that as a failure. I saw that as a learning lesson. But you take that and you're like, okay, what do I need to learn right now? What is the lesson that's trying to be taught to me right now? And then you grow from it. And a lot of people, you know, in the business world, they will take that and they'll be like, oh, I should just give up. I'm not meant to do this. I'm not meant to serve. I'm not meant to coach. I'm not meant to be in the network marketing industry, like whatever it is that they're doing, you know? And it's like, no, that's part of the game. Like if you're putting yourself out there, you're going to have people, you know, not want to work with you anymore. Not like you're like, whatever it is. So yeah, it is. It's always like 2 steps back. Once is it, you know,
1 step back, 2 steps. Yeah. No, I know what, I know. But it is true, right? Like, cause at every, like the same things are going to happen at this level as they're going to happen at other levels, the same percentage. But it's going to happen at greater degrees because as your business continues to grow, that percentage grows. So the fact that you lost 1 client right now, you needed to be able to go through that and be able to handle the emotions of being able to, because who knows, maybe down the road, you'd have 2 people in a mastermind who say, this no longer feels aligned. It has nothing to do with you. I just feel like I'm ready to evolve in a different container. And how would you have managed the 2 if you didn't have the 1 and you worked through that? And you were able to be like, you know, I'm okay. I'm supported. I know that, like you said, where 1 goes, 2 or 3 come right after. And it's being able to handle that at the 1 before you get it with the 2. And we get so like antsy. It has to be the 2. We need the 10 right now. And it's like, dude, you're going to get it. I promise you.
No, and like that's the thing is, so I launched my mastermind and I was very fluid with it. Are you looking for your water?
Yeah, I don't know where it
went. I was like very fluid and flexible with it. And I didn't have a start date set in mind. I just decided I would launch it and the right women would come in. And now I'm like kind of closing the door because I have women coming in. I'm like, all right, now it's time to like honor the women that have put their deposits down and like start this container. But I've been like so flexible with the way I do things. And I think that for me, that's what works, because whenever I try to have like launch a course and have like a start and an end date, shit doesn't pan out for me. Like it does not work that way. So I think that's important too, is like you have to be like flexible and allow flow into your business and just allow yourself, like, I don't have to we're both launching a mastermind right now, right? Like we're both, which is so funny because that's another thing, like no competition. Mm-hmm. You have the right women who are going to join your mastermind. I have the right women that are going to join my mastermind, like, you know, whatever. And, but we have different ways of doing it. And then like, that's another thing. Like we don't have to launch things the same. And then I see it all the time in the online space is like all these women are doing all the things the same. And it's like, be your authentic truth, launch things your way. Like if you don't feel aligned with having a sales page, don't have a freaking sales page, you know, like just do it your way, your jam. I don't know why that was like a divine download. I think one of your listeners needs to hear that right now.
And they probably do. And I think what's beautiful that you mentioned that about, and I'm just going to add like kind of piggyback on that, is the only way that you're going to find what works for you and what doesn't work for you is by doing it.
Yeah.
You have to try something and you're going to see, okay, this worked and this didn't work. And that's where I think you were talking about is kind of giving yourself grace and releasing the pressure on how it has to look and how it has to be.
Yeah.
And just knowing that you're going to figure it out, but we put this pressure on it and saying, well, it didn't work out this way, I need to launch a different program. No, you probably just need to launch the same program. And you just need to try and have more fun with it and allow yourself to enjoy it. Yeah. Keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it. But every time you do it, keep adjusting what's working, what's not working. Is it the person I'm being? Is it the person I was during that launch? Is it the way that my life was going at that time? Like you just need to play and play with the universe a little bit and allow yourself.
The universe loves to play. Right? The universe has a sense of humor and loves fun. Trust me. Yeah. Universe loves to play. Yeah.
To play. So I just want to kind of dive into something super quick before we wrap up, because this has just been such a good, beautiful conversation. I've missed you so much. I want to talk a little bit about the moon, because I know that's such a big, powerful thing that you love to talk about. So if there's anything that you can kind of share briefly, quickly, as much as like whatever it is that you can or want to share for the ones who are listening about how to really utilize the moon in accordance to their business. That's probably a really big question, but whatever you can give.
So I have a whole course on this, but I will, actually it's not even a course. It's like a really quick mastermind, or masterclass that you can dive into. But basically, kind of like backstory. So we have used the moon for, you can't find
it again.
Okay. So Autumn keeps looking for her water and she can't find it.
I'm mom brain. I forget like 2 seconds ago that I just looked for it and it's not there. It's all good.
Yeah, it's okay. Okay, so kind of like backstory, like we have used the moon for centuries, for ages. And I think like with technology and the Industrial Revolution, all these things, we lost touch with our connection to the moon. But if you think about it, like the moon guides the tides, the moon guides us, because we are essentially made up of water. So why would we think we were any different? And that's like why a lot of teachers like teach on basically like syncing up your cycle with the moon cycle, especially as like women, like that's so important. But with your business, what I have found is that using the moon to manifest and set intentions is like next level manifestation. So I definitely like dive deep in with my clients on manifestation, all the things. I'm not very big on like law of attraction. I'm more big on like co-creating with the universe. Like I think we are partners with the universe. We team up with the universe and we basically kind of like what you were saying earlier, like we send out what we want and then we let the universe do the rest. We let the universe figure out the how. So with the moon, we set our intentions, we set our manifestations with the new moon. And there's a whole ritual that I walk my clients through, but basically you get really clear on what it is that you want, and you get really clear on what it is that you want to manifest and what you want to achieve for the next cycle, which tends to be like 28 and a half days, which is again, that's usually like your period cycle, no coincidence. But so you get really clear on your intentions, and then you, create your action plan. So I'm like huge on taking action. Like, you cannot just sit on your couch and want to make $10,000 months. Like, you have to show up in a way that feels good for you, in a way that feels aligned. But at the end of the day, you have to show up. You can't just like journal it out all the time. Like, I have clients that just want to hide behind their journals, and I'm like, nope, I've done that. Nothing's going to come of it. So creating action plans around your intentions and then releasing it out with the new moon. So the new moon is really like all about the dark side. It's all about like the shadow side that a lot of people talk about. And it really is a time to, ground down. And then as the new moon steps into that full moon, that's really like where you start to take action. That's where it's, really best to put yourself out there. So do, the live videos, the course launches, all those things. And then with the full moon, it's a time to release. So the light of the full moon shines bright on the things that we need to let go of, and the things that we need to surrender, and the things that are just no longer serving us. So with the full moon, I tend to guide people through a forgiveness and release ceremony, which is super powerful because forgiveness is like one of the hidden keys with manifesting. If you are holding on to anger, and if you're holding on to like these negative thoughts about people or even about yourself, you will not allow the space to like create abundance of love in your life. Like, the two just don't go hand in hand. So stepping into space of forgiving, and sometimes like, you have to work on that. Like, it's hard to forgive. So the full moon, it's funny because this is a full moon week, and this is really where a lot of people start to feel a lot of emotions and a lot of shit and a lot of baggage. It's also Mercury retrograde, so people are feeling all the feels right now, which when you tap into it and you're tuned in, you don't get affected by it as much. I will tell you that. So it's something that you practice and that you like lean into and honor, but this is really like a time to take a nap and just like rest for a little bit and just like release whatever isn't serving you. I always suggest to like take an Epsom salt bath because it's really detoxing. I started dry brushing this week because I heard that's really detoxing, and like just doing things to release anything that needs to be released, the toxins, the chemicals, the negative energies, all of it. Also a great time to cleanse your crystals if you love crystals. So I burn my forgiveness. So I write everything that I need to forgive and whatever. And I burn it because that's super powerful. You actually taught me that.
I remember all of like how much you always love the rituals. I'd say, here's a ritual. And you're like, okay,
I'll do it. I love the rituals. I love them. So I burn it, and then I release it, and I do the sage and all the things. And then, so the time between the full moon and the new moon, and I dive deeper like in the masterclass on those phases of the moon, but that's really like your time where the manifestations come into fruition. So because you released, you are now able to receive. So that's the time like where you will start seeing like your income increasing, where your manifestations start to come in, whatever it is, where the clients might start to reach out to you. So it's not necessarily a time to put your foot off the gas, but it is a time to like open yourself up to the abundance that you're wanting. You kind of have to like push through because you want to relax and rest and like definitely honor that. I'm not saying like don't do those things, but show up in a different way, like show up in that flow instead of that like masculine energy that you kind of feel between the new moon and the full moon. So the full moon to the new moon is more of like that feminine energy where you can like dance and have a lot of sex and do all the things. And then it starts again. And then like, that's the beauty of it. Like my favorite thing about it is, with the new year, everyone sets like an intention. And then by like January 31st, they're like totally defeated. And they're like, oh, well, there goes another year. And you try it again in January. But with the moon, you get a chance every single cycle. So, and it lines up with the month. So every single month you get a new chance and you get a new time to set intentions and see your manifestations. And if something doesn't manifest, again, it goes back to what lesson did you need to learn first? How can you reevaluate? How can you, what do you need to do to step into the space to receive what you want to receive, what you're desiring? Because at the end of the day, we are always going to get what we desire. It's just the when and the how isn't up to us. It's up to the universe. So that's kind of like my speed moon manifestation.
So good. I'm like over here, like learning from you.
Yeah.
I want to like touch on something super quick if it's okay, because I think that people could go and do all this work. But what I think is important to note is the energy behind them when they're going to do the work. Yeah. There's a difference, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like the doing it from a space, and maybe how do you help your clients, or how do you help, and maybe you do this in the masterclass. We can put a link below in the master, if you have access to it, like a replay. Yeah. We can put the link in the show notes for sure, if anybody wants to have more information on how to really work with the moon. But there's a difference, I would assume, between having that fear-based energy going into all these rituals, like I have to do this because I want this. How do you sink into a space of like, it's like not fear-based energy, and it's really empowering, expansive energy when they're going to do these rituals?
So I guess it's like kind of twofold. So with my one-on-one clients, I'm able to call them out on their bullshit.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yes, of course.
With people that are just taking the master class and they're like kind of self-learning and teaching themselves, first I do a meditation to kind of guide them through and ground them down. And I connect them to Gaia, so to the earth. And then I also connect them to Father Sky and the moon, which is super powerful, because that's really like where you can't lie to essentially like the higher powers. Like you can't lie. That's how you tap into your higher self. So I think the first thing is really tapping into your higher self. And that tends to only happen through like meditation, and really like silencing your mind, which I think is hard for a lot of people. And that's not saying shut down. Like I don't even listen. I always listen to guided meditations. I can't just like sit there, like I'm very spiritual, but I can't just sit there in silence. My mind starts running. So connecting to your higher self and really asking a couple essential questions. How can I serve? Because essentially none of this is about us. It's always about service, whether it's about serving our family, serving our higher self, or serving like the greatest good of humanity. And then the second question is, what is it that I truly desire? And when you ask those two questions, there's no fear in any of that, right? Like there's none of those questions are going to result in fear. It's just going to result in the truth. So the thing is that if your manifestations don't come into fruition after the moon cycle, then you have to ask yourself, am I doing this for the highest good of all humanity? Am I doing this for the highest good of myself? And if the answer is no, then you need to revamp what your intentions are. If the answer is yes, then just give it a little bit more time. So this might be hard for a lot of your listeners that aren't like very into the spiritual and the woo and the meditations, but essentially like that's what it is. It's getting in touch with your higher self. And honestly, like that's the key to business. And like, it's almost like the missing key to business, because if you're running your business out of alignment, and if you're running, and I know like that's such like a popular phrase nowadays, but like if you're running your business out of a space of alignment, like you're not like, yeah, maybe you might have a great income month, but eventually you're going to lose it. If you're running your business just out of self-service, you're going to lose it. And I think that's, why a lot of people bounce around with network marketing companies, because it's not about like the greatest good. It's about themselves. It's about self-service. It's about making quick cash. Eventually it's going to run out. So I think like it's all about tapping into your higher self. It's all about how you can serve, who you can serve, how you can serve, and then what is the like reason for that service? What is the desire behind that service? Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. Yeah, okay. It's so good. I have no doubt that everybody is going to be pausing this, re-listening to it, and taking so many notes.
Oh, I hope so.
Right? I totally think so. I wrote down a release to receive. So when you're talking before. So I think I need to put that into the title because that was really, really good.
Oh, yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
Like
so
that.
is there anything else, because I've been keeping you for like, oh my gosh, it's 2:22 my time. Duh.
We used to always get all the numbers.
I'm going to do an intro, and they've heard it now. If they're listening to this part of the episode, they've already heard it. I'm going to do a different intro separately.
Okay.
For you, and that's why we just kind of jumped right in. But by now you guys will know that like Lauren's was one of my very first clients, one-on-one clients ever. And it's been such a beautiful journey to see how you've evolved and grown and shifted, and just being able to kind of do motherhood with you. It's been a really cool experience. So I can't wait to see what else manifests and comes into fruition over the next.
No, you know what's so funny is, so I always tell Justin like what you're doing. Because obviously I love you. Like, we don't have the coach-client relationship, but we definitely like have kept our friendship and supporting each other and all that stuff. And I think like that's like a true relation, you know, like that's a true connection. Like I definitely think we're like soulmates on a whole other level, right? And
we knew that right away.
Yeah, no, totally. And I always tell Justin, and honestly, like I always channel you, like, and I think that's so beautiful because I'm always like, okay, what would Autumn do in this situation? Like the things that you taught me. And that's like the key of a good coach. And it's funny because the client that left, she's like, you have taught me such tremendous things. Like she is doing amazing things. I just don't think she's stepping into different space, which is totally okay. Like, and that's what I realize. But, yeah, I'm like always channeling you, and I'm always like, okay, what would Autumn do in this situation? And I totally still fangirl over you. And I'm like, yeah, that was my first coach ever. She's like the first one I ever worked with. Yeah.
You're so I love you so much.
Yeah.
I love you so much. It's been such a special relationship, and it's so beautiful to see how it's been able to grow in different ways, regardless of what the relationship has turned into and how our paths have shifted. And I think, like you said, that is a really good indication of a beautiful relationship and a good coach. And that's the impact that you're leaving on these women now. And we have to release, I guess that's part of it too, like not to like keep diving into it because let's clean it up, but just that reminder that you guys are going to impact certain people in certain ways, and it's not up to you to decide how you impact them. Not everybody are you going to work one-on-one with. Not every person is going to be in your program. Not every person that you impact is going to buy something. I have people, and I'm sure you do too, and you're going to, especially as you have your podcast, like there are people that see a post and say, oh my gosh, you've changed my entire life, and because of you, I have found this person. I have clients one of my clients actually just recently, she said, one of my clients just signed on with me. She told me she found me through you, but she just didn't connect with you in the way that she loves you, but she needs something different. Like she's a Christian. One of my clients is a Christian coach, and she wants to be guided that way with God and the Bible being like the guide. And that's not something that I lead with, but I love and fully support that's my client. Like we so connect with that, and I support her in that because that's what lights her up. That's how she's guided in her business. So I have to trust that sometimes it's going to be just a podcast episode that completely shifts their life, or it's one post on Facebook, or it's an Instagram story, and that gets to be enough. And whatever impact that we make on our life, and if it is just with a one-on-one client, I worked with them for 3 months or 4 months or a year, the lessons that we continue to leave an imprint on their heart, like that impacts them for years to come, and in ways that we can't even seem to fathom in the time that we do spend together. So just a beautiful reminder.
At the end of the day, it's not about us. And I remind my clients of that all the time. It's you cannot. It's never about us. It's never about us. When we make it about serving for the highest, greatest good, things fall into place. Yeah.
So good.
Your
so
ego
freaking good.
Yeah. I love this. Yeah.
Oh, I love this. Is there anything else that you want to leave our listeners with, or do you feel like you left it all on the table?
I mean, I think that's it. If you want to catch me on Instagram stories, I'll just send you all the links, I guess. I love Instagram. I'm like a weirdo with Instagram stories. I freaking love it.
So good though.
Yeah. I post like 3 times a week. I'm not even I'm the worst with posting. I'll hire a social media manager in the next
couple weeks. It's about where you light up, right? Yeah. People find you where you light up.
Yeah.
So stop forcing something that doesn't feel good. Yes, there's a point of like, I want to be in the places, but there's going to be a time in your business when you can be in all the places. So if you can't be in all the places right now, stop trying to force yourself to be in all the places. Go where lights you up and allow yourself to exist elsewhere, and people will find you. You can never, like, anything that's meant for you can never get past you. Ever.
Yeah, no, totally true. Yeah. So Instagram stories is where you can find me at laurenmegan.co. And then, I'll be releasing a podcast in April, and I have the Moon Masterclass, which I'll send you the link to so they can find that, and all the things. I don't know. There's a lot of things I want to do, but I'm also honoring the fact that I'm a mom, and with time, things will come. So
you're amazing.
Yeah,
you are so amazing. I love you. This has been such a great conversation. So you guys, obviously you love Lauren. It's impossible for you not to. When you're in her energy and you hear her voice, you're just like, give me more of that. So I will, you can search her on all the social medias, but I'll put all of her links below and you can find out more of her there. So thank you so much, Lauren.
Bye. Thank you.
Have a great day, guys.